Picture the first weapon a human ever made. Most people imagine a sharpened spear, or maybe a stone axe, gripped by someone who looked roughly like you. But the real answer is far stranger. The first weapon wasn't made by a human at all. It predates our species by millions of years, and it wasn't even necessarily made by anything we'd confidently call a person. To understand where weapons actually came from, you have to let go of the image of a caveman chipping flint by a fire and go back to something far older, far stranger, and far more surprising. To find humanity's first weapon, you first have to define what a weapon actually is. A weapon isn't just a sharp object. It's a tool, deliberately shaped or selected, used specifically to harm, threaten, or kill. That distinction matters because plenty of animals use objects. Sea otters use rocks to crack shells. Chimpanzees use sticks to extract termites. But using a tool to get food is different from using a tool to hurt another living thing on purpose. So when did that shift happen? For decades, the answer researchers pointed to was around 2.5 million years ago, with a category of stone tools called Oldowan tools, named after the Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, where they were first extensively studied. These were simple, sharp-edged flakes struck off larger stones. Archaeologists Kathy Skick and Nicholas Toth, who have spent much of their careers studying these early tools at the Stone Age Institute, have demonstrated through experimental archaeology that these seemingly crude flakes were remarkably effective. A simple stone flake, correctly struck, creates an edge sharper than a modern steel knife, at least initially. These tools were almost certainly used primarily for butchering animals, not for hunting them directly. Cutting through hide, separating meat from bone, cracking open marrow, all tasks that transformed how much nutrition early hominins could extract from a single carcass. That's a critical distinction. A cutting tool used on an already dead animal isn't quite a weapon in the way you're imagining. It's closer to the ancestor of a kitchen knife than a spear. So where does actual weaponized violence enter the story? This is where the timeline gets pushed back further than almost anyone expected, and in a direction nobody predicted. In 2015, archaeologist Sonia Harmond and her team discovered stone tools at a site called Lomkwi 3 in Kenya. Using precise dating methods, they determined these tools were approximately 3.3 million years old. That number should stop you. 3.3 million years ago is significantly before the emergence of the genus Homo, the group that includes modern humans and our closest direct ancestors. Whoever made these tools wasn't human in any sense you'd recognize. They were likely an earlier hominin species, possibly something like Kenyanthropus platypus or an early Australopithecine, walking upright but with a brain barely larger than a chimpanzee's. This discovery fundamentally overturned decades of assumptions. Toolmaking, it turns out, predates the genus Homo entirely. Something without a distinctly human brain was already shaping stone with intention, long before anything we'd call a person existed. Doesn't that completely change how you imagine the origin of weapons? Here's where the story becomes genuinely strange. If tool use goes back further than humanity itself, does weapon use as well? The answer, remarkably, appears to be yes, and it comes from an unexpected source: living chimpanzees. Primatologist Jill Proutz, who has spent decades studying a chimpanzee community in Fongoli, Senegal, documented something in 2007 that upended assumptions about which species could be credited with inventing weapons at all. Proutz observed chimpanzees at Fongoli breaking sticks, stripping them of bark, and sharpening one end with their teeth, creating crude but functional spears. They then used these sharpened sticks to jab into tree hollows, hunting smaller primates called bush babies hiding inside. This wasn't accidental stick poking. It was deliberate manufacture of a pointed weapon, used specifically to injure or kill another animal for food. If chimpanzees, a species that diverged from the human lineage roughly 6 or 7 million years ago, independently developed this behavior, it suggests something remarkable. The capacity to fashion a weapon may not be a uniquely human invention at all. It may be a much older evolutionary tendency, present in the shared ancestor of both humans and chimpanzees, or independently discovered more than once along different evolutionary branches. This reframes the entire question you started with. You're not asking when humans invented weapons. You're asking when a lineage of primates, stretching back millions of years before anything resembling a modern human existed, first began converting objects in their environment into tools of deliberate harm. That capacity appears to be extraordinarily deep in your evolutionary history, deeper than language, deeper than complex culture, deeper, quite possibly, than the genus Homo itself. So what does this mean for you, sitting comfortably in the modern world, thousands of generations removed from anything resembling Lomqui or Fongoli? It means the impulse to shape an object specifically for harm isn't a flaw introduced by civilization or a corruption of some peaceful natural state. It's older than civilization, older than agriculture, older than fire. In all likelihood, it may be older than the very concept of being human. Every knife in your kitchen drawer, every tool your ancestors have ever sharpened for cutting, hunting, or protection, sits at the end of an unbroken evolutionary thread stretching back over 3 million years, to a creature that wasn't human, doing something that would eventually become one of the most consequential behaviors your entire lineage would ever develop. Think about that the next time you pick up something as simple as a kitchen knife. You're not just using a modern convenience. You're participating in one of the oldest continuous behaviors your evolutionary lineage has ever practiced, a behavior that predates your species, predates your genus, and may even predate the moment your ancestors first stood upright. Picture, once more, the first weapon a human ever made. Except now you know the story doesn't start with a human at all. It starts millions of years earlier, with something that wasn't quite human yet, reaching for a stone or a stick, and discovering, for the first time in the long history of life on Earth, that an object could become an extension of intention, that the world could be reshaped, sharpened, and pointed toward a purpose its maker chose. That moment, whoever made it, however long ago it happened, is still living inside every tool you've ever held.